What's going on, everybody? Happy Thursday!
St. Patty's Day.
It's St. Patrick's Day. And what else is it today?
It is our little baby girl's 3rd birthday.
Happy birthday, Lainey! 3 years ago, she came into this world, kicking and screaming, or as quiet as a baby lamb.
She came fast and furious.
Tell us about the story. How did Lainey Lee come into this world 3 years ago today?
Yeah, 3 years ago today.
Actually, set the tone for what you told me to the people out there. Like, what was my expectation coming into this into this pregnancy?
Oh, it was so funny. So we get pregnant and we're super excited, and I've previously had a baby, and I was like, it was picture perfect, hypnobirthing.
I was
calm,
not at that first
cool,
birth.
Collected. Like, the bathtub was full. She came in the water, and it was like, it was amazing. I was in a trance. I closed my eyes the whole time. Like, I rocked it.
That was when you were, 20 years old?
I was 21 when I had Kobe. And then fast forward to Lainey coming into this world in 2019. I prefaced this birth with Logan like, I'm an amazing birther, right? I got this. Peaceful. It's just gonna be the way it is. So we hired a doula, thankfully. And she was there with me during labor, and I started laboring, I don't know, like intensely at 8-ish p.m. And we were at the birth center. So the midwife was like trying to distract Logan and like make sure he was staying busy because he was kind of.
My first time.
It was his first time. And I
had
a very different labor experience.
It was
wasn't. Intense. I was like roaring, moaning, I was very vocal. And she came into the world at 10 p.m.
Yeah.
And it was fast and furious. I remember being in the shower, and my doula was like, I got to go get the midwife. Like, you're transitioning. You're starting to push. And she flies in there, gets the midwife, and the midwife is like, no way. Like, I just checked her, and she was only at a 6. So she checks me again. And
a 6 what?
6 centimeters dilated. Anybody who knows birth knows that. And the midwife checks me, and she's like, okay, I need to like get your cervix out of the way a little bit. It's still in the way just a little bit. Keep doing your thing. And I was like, get your fingers out of me. Like, get them out. It hurts so bad. And then she took her fingers out, and I was like, put your fingers back in. And then bam, she was here. It was awesome.
My side of the story, I remember all that happening as well. And what I remember is the birth plan was to have Lainey in the bathtub, because that's where Kobe, our oldest daughter, she was in the bath. She was born in the bath. And this bathtub was huge, by the way. Like, it was probably like 8 feet lengthwise, and it was probably, man, I bet it was 3 to 4 feet deep. Like, it was big. And so the birth plan was to have Lainey in the bathtub. And so Katie's in the shower at this time screaming. Like, the doula, or not the doula, the midwife that came in and told us, like, she wasn't even close, right? Then all of a sudden Katie just started screaming. I was like, dude, this doesn't seem right. And the doula's like, go start the bath, right? I was like, okay, great. Distracting, right? So I go start the bathtub, I get it going, and then they're like, check the temperature. And they gave me this little flimsy thermometer thing that was like, literally, like, you probably got from the dollar store, right? And I'm like, I look at it, I'm like, I am not sure how to use this thing. Like, it did not make sense to me. And I kid you not, in 10 minutes from the moment that I started this bath, like, it got like this full, and this little head was popping. I mean, I actually didn't watch that. My seats inside the stadium were in the press box. They weren't in the end zone, right? That's where I wanted to be. I just wanted to watch Katie. I wanted to make sure that she was good, and I remember like just like focusing on her. And I didn't even see the baby until it hit her chest, right? So that was our experience 3 years ago today.
In hindsight, I think intentionally they gave him a broken thermometer to try to figure out, to just distract him.
I could not figure it out. I still couldn't figure it out. So that's what happened 3 years ago. Happy birthday, Lainey Lee. Appreciate you so much. She's been an amazing addition to our family, for sure. And so today, what are we talking about today, Katie? We
are not talking about having babies. We are talking about partnership deals.
Yes. So if you guys have been following us, if you haven't been following us, we currently own $6 million in real estate. We just added another property to our portfolio a couple weeks ago, and we've done this over the course of the past 3 years. Everything up to this point has been local, right? It's been in our backyard. And we've done this in the beginning. We started by funding it ourselves, the whole thing. And then we started getting into partnerships the last couple of years. And then the last deal we did, we actually didn't use any of our own money. We used a partner, and we used lenders, a debt partner, and we use line of credit, right? And so it was a really cool experience to buy property without any of our own money. And the property's cash flow is going to pay the traditional lender off. It's going to pay our equity partner, and it's also going to pay our debt partner and a line of credit. Pretty cool.
And us.
And we should get paid too, which is cool. So that property is under construction. We'll give you an update on that property as we go. It's probably about 2 or 3 weeks before we turn that from 1 unit into 3 units. And so, yeah, but that's not what we're talking about today. So today we're talking about our first deal that we're doing outside of our local market, right? So, Katie, what do you know about this deal?
Not very much. So this is going to be interesting.
Yeah, so Katie doesn't know about this deal too much because...
well, it's not my role. So we have roles within our agreement. And he's the acquisition king. He goes and finds it, processes the deal, runs the numbers, makes sure it's a good thing to go. And then he usually pulls the trigger. And then on the back end, I usually do, property management / project management if needed, and get the deal where it needs to be, where his vision was on the front end. So yeah, I don't know very much. Let's go.
And the cool part of this deal is that I'm not finding the deal and you're not going to manage the deal, right? Mm-hmm. So it's actually unique roles for both of us. And so let me explain a little bit how I found this deal. And so my job now is to network, right? Is to go find awesome people who are also in real estate, who are looking to partner up, looking to squat up and do lots more deals together. Because what is our goal? Is our goal just to do 1 or 2 deals a year?
No.
What is our goal?
I mean, at least I would say once a month.
I mean, that would be fun if we could do at least once a month. That would be ideal. So that's working towards that. And we realize that we can do that. We can, like, that goal is super attainable when we squat up, when we find other people to partner with, and we leverage other people's skills, and we also are able to bring value to the table as well. So on this deal, it was me developing relationships, and so we're inside the sub 2 group. So if you're watching this and you're sub 2, hoorah, right? If you're not in sub 2, it's like, it's one of the greatest real estate communities on the freaking planet. If not, like, it is the best. Like, if you can show me a better real estate community, like, let me in. I'll pay you as much money as I possibly need to get into that community. That's how good this community is. And so I have been chatting with almost 100 sub 2 students over the last couple months. And so the student I found, actually, I talked to before that. He was one of the very first students I talked to because he was in Montana. So he's in a town called Billings, which is about 2 hours away from us. And I networked with him and realized this guy is a killer, right? I don't know if you remember me telling a story, but like, he had acquired like 60 doors in the stamp in a like less than a year's time frame, which was
60 doors.
60 doors, which is crazy. Yeah, sub 2. There's all the people sub 2ing it up. And I was like, okay, this is somebody who, like, obviously provides a lot of value, and I need to, like, learn about him and get to know him more. And so definitely have stayed in contact with him via texting. And then we were in Billings, what was that, like a couple months ago? Our daughter had a swim meet. And so I took the opportunity to reach out to him, text him, and connect with him. And I spent like a morning with him. Full transparency, I missed the start of our daughter's swim meet because I was like, he was like, well, we were just going around looking at all his properties, and we were connecting and honestly just learning about him and his story. And he's got an amazing story, by the way. He actually wrote a book. And so, like, no joke, like, as soon as you told me that, I found the book, I purchased it, I read it, and I was able to, like, connect with him even more. And I just developed a relationship. And man, this deal came, and then I just kept checking in with him. So we were like, he took me to one of his properties that I thought I was gonna buy from him, and he ended up finding a different buyer, which was great. I just stayed in contact with him and said, hey, what else do you have? What else do you have? Like, I want to do a deal with him. I made it clear that I wanted to work with him. I wanted to do a deal with him in some sort of a fashion. And then this deal came up, and I was like, oh, and I just, like, saw the opportunity. And I was like, I told him how we provide value to him, what we could do. And I gave him a couple options, and he's like, okay. And he just said yes, right? Because I just kept on showing up, I kept on knocking at the door, kept on being consistent and persistent. And boom, it opened up the door to somebody who, literally had just did 60 doors last year, and we're able to start to add value to that type of person. And so that was my role in actually getting the deal. So guess what? I didn't do a single cold call. I didn't do a single mailer. I didn't talk to a seller. I didn't do any of that stuff, right? He did all that stuff. And once he got the deal locked up, then it just became, well, what sort of value can we provide? And so do you even know what value that we're providing in this situation? I think you do, actually.
I do know.
Yeah.
We are finding the financing.
Yep.
This plant is attacking me. Nicole, do you see this?
Freaking play it.
We're providing financing and private money, funding, money,
Yep.
cash money.
Yeah. So the way that this deal is working is that we're able to get the funding, and based on our experience, and we're also using his experience as well, we're able to get really good terms and rates. We're able to get 90% of the purchase price, which is awesome. So that means in this situation specifically, this property costs $100,000. We're able to get $90,000 of a loan, and then we just got to bring $10,000 to the table to cover that gap. Also, we're guaranteeing the loan as well, so we're putting our personal name on it to get those terms. And then as far as the rehab goes, Keto is going to be the project manager. He's the one who is
got the scope of work.
He's got the scope of work. He's got the estimate, all that stuff, and we basically give that to the lenders, and they will cover 100% of our construction cost. Which
wait
is
a second.
cool.
Wait a second. So the purchase price is $100,000.
Yes.
And we're going to get a loan for $90,000.
Correct.
So the cash that needs to come from somewhere is $10,000.
Yes.
And then we provide the same lender with this scope of work.
Yes.
And the scope of work is how much?
It turned out to be about $87,000 with a 10% overage, which was about $100,000.
So let's just say $100,000.
Yeah, it's easy.
So
math.
rehab of $100,000, and they're gonna give us $100,000 for the entire rehab.
$100,000. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
pretty good, right? And then as far as interest rates go, can you take a guess? I don't think you know this at all. Can you guess what that's? What do you think a fair interest rate is for all that?
5%.
8. Yeah.
8.
So 8%. So again, keeping in mind that it's
short term.
It's short term and it's higher risk, right? So that's kind of what the deal looks like from that standpoint. And so $10,000, it's not the total out of pocket, right? Because there's other costs that go into the equation. We have points, so that lender is requiring points up front, which is about $3,000 to $4,000 of just points up front. And then of course we're going to have carrying costs of this property throughout the 8% is going to probably take us about 6 months. Is the guesstimate to do that. So altogether, we're anticipating somewhere around $30,000 in total upfront costs and holding costs.
So the lender that's providing the rehab of $100,000, 100% of the rehab costs, they do not cover the cost to carry as well, correct?
No.
Okay.
No.
So we've got about 6 months
make
of
that
rehab.
payment.
Okay.
Yeah, we actually have to make the payment. The payment's like I think $500 or $600. But yes, we have to personally make that payment. Yep. So basically, with all that being said, we're estimating about $25,000 to $30,000 is what we actually need to come up with to basically cover that gap.
Cool.
Right. And so in our situation, like we are deciding that we're going to cover that, right? Like we can cover that. However, we also wanted to give someone out there that if they wanted to play this game and wanted to get into the game of real estate from a lending standpoint and seeing kind of how the process worked, we were offering somebody out there, if they want to participate in this deal as a lender. Okay, so they're able to bring $25,000, $30,000. We'll know once we get to the closing table exactly how much we're going to need. But yeah, so basically the terms we're looking for is $30,000, let's say on the top end, a 10% interest rate and 6-month term, which means that it's all interest only, which means that over the course of 6 months, you basically be paid about $1,500 on top of your original $30,000 you put in, and you get to learn about the game of real estate. And again, you get to ask us questions, and you get to earn some money along the process. So anyway, that's an offer that we wanted to extend to anybody who wanted to get in the game of real estate, wanted to learn in a short period of time. Again, we actually like our plan is to fund it ourselves. But however, if somebody wants to play and they want to earn a little bit of money, by all means, our goal is to help people get in the game of real estate. And I think lending is the simplest, easiest way to get into the game, understand how it works. So that way you feel more comfortable to take down a deal yourself.
Cool. Okay. Wait, let me make sure I got this straight.
Okay.
I'm learning as well. We have $100,000 purchase price.
Yes.
And we have to bring, the lender's bringing $90,000. We're going to bring $10,000 to closing to purchase the property. So the property is ours. Yep. We give the scope of practice to the lender. Let's say $100,000 they're going to lend, and they're going to lend 100% of that.
Yep.
So we get the $100,000 loan for the rehab, and that's going to be stretched out over 6 months. So we'll take it when we need it, and we can pay people the $100,000 of rehab. Yep. So we get 6 months down the road, we are in about $200,000 plus the carrying costs, which maybe is another $20,000, $30,000. So we're in $230,000.
Yep.
In 6 months. What do we do?
Awesome. So This property, the property plan for this is we're turning into from a single family home into a duplex. And so if you guys are inside the subject group or my personal Facebook, go check out. I posted the pictures of the actual property. You'll see it like it's the actual picture of the property. So we're turning that single family home into a duplex, into 2 units. And our comps on the low end is going to be about $320,000 what that property is worth. That's like the extreme low end. Our actual estimate is closer to 350, but we're very conservative people. I like to look at what is the worst case scenario. About $320,000 is like a very worst case scenario what this property is going to appraise at.
So we are all in at $230,000 with a renovated duplex.
Yes.
Ready to hit the market, ready to rent, ready to be appraised.
Yep.
And it appraises at $320,000.
Yep. And
that's
so
$90,000 difference.
I think it's 100, but isn't it? Oh, 230, did you
230.
say? Yeah.
230 to 320 is 90.
Math.
Checking his math.
Math is fun. So our goal with the property is we're actually going to keep it. So we're going to refinance this out, and we take 75% of that property, or excuse me, of 320, which is the low end, and we'll be able to get a loan for about $240,000, right? And so you can see that like there's actually a gap. We have about a $10,000 gap that we anticipate that we're going to make. Like we'll actually put about $10,000-$15,000 in our pockets on a refinance, and then we're going to keep the property. Right. And at that time, at the refinance, that's when we actually pay back our first position lender. So we'll pay back the $90,000 loan. We'll pay back the $100,000 construction loan. We'll pay back either us in our money of $25,000 to $30,000, or the lender, whoever's in that situation. Like that'll get paid back. And all in, we're anticipating still be about $10,000 to $15,000 left over, which we'll put into ours and our partners' pockets after that. And we'll be able to keep the property.
Okay. So let me get this straight.
That's a pretty good deal, isn't it?
We're going to get into this deal with zero money and basically 3 different partners. And in 6 months, we're going to put $10,000 to $15,000 in our pocket. Yeah.
Well, eventually it'll be zero money. So the goal, the goal is to get all of our money out. Again, like it doesn't always necessarily work out that way. This one has enough legs that it'll most likely be able to get into that. But all the deals aren't that way. But this one is.
All right.
For sure.
Will you let me walk through this one more time?
Yeah.
Just so I make sure I understand it. $100,000 purchase price.
Yep.
$90,000 loan. So there's $10,000 cash needed.
Yep.
$100,000 of rehab.
Yep.
All funded by a lender.
Correct.
In 6 months, with the carrying costs, cash out of pocket is probably $30,000.
And there's still some upfront costs.
Points, that. Yeah.
Closing
so
costs as well.
6 months down the road, total cost out of pocket, cash needed is about $30,000.
Correct.
So with loans and with a $200,000 or $190,000 of loans and $30,000 of cash, we are at $220,000.
Correct. Yep.
And then we go and we refinance it, and it appraises at $320,000. So we have $100,000 basically of a gap. But when you refinance a property, you have to leave 25% equity in it. Correct.
Correct. Yep.
So 75% of or 25% of $320,000 is $240,000. So we can get a loan for $240,000.
Yep.
All cash in right now is $220,000.
Yep.
So that's a $20,000 cash out.
And
refi.
And then I always anticipate there might be some $5,000 to $10,000 of just overage or costs that we don't anticipate. So that's why I said about 10 to 15 of what will be left over that'll actually go in our pocket. Plus, we'll get to keep the property, which is the most important piece, right? So once we keep the property, are you interested to see what we're going to do when we keep the property?
Yeah, well, we already changed it from a 1 cash cow to a 2 cash cow. So let's see it.
So this is going to turn again from a single family into a duplex, or to 2 units. And each side will rent for conservatively about $1,300. Okay. And so that makes it $2,600 in revenue every single month.
Okay.
So $240,000. Do you have a guesstimate what the mortgage is going to be? So think about Cardinal Drive was about 200. Like that's what we purchased Cardinal Drive for, is 240. So do you remember?
1,300.
About 1,300, right? So $2,600 is our revenue. $1,300 is our principal, interest, taxes, insurance, and this is going to be a long-term or short-term? Long-term rental. So is there any expenses outside of the PITI, outside of like monthly expenditures, outside of like capital expenditures?
Pass that all on to the tenant.
It all gets passed on, right? So $2,600, the mortgage would be about $1,300. So what is the gap on that?
$1,300.
About $1,300 a month in cash flow, right? And again, I anticipate about $1,000. There's always going to be other little things that come up. Maybe our terms aren't as good in the loan. Maybe we don't get quite $1,300. Maybe we get $1,200. And so again, conservatively, it'll cash flow around $1,000 every single month. And at that point, in 6 months, 4 to 6 months. Actually, again, like the time frame is set to be a little bit narrower than 6 months, but I'm just saying
6 months.
6 months. We're going to have majority, if not all of our capital out of the deal, and we're going to be left with a property that cash flows about $1,000 a month. You like that deal?
Yeah. How do we do that again?
Yeah. So, and that is the game, right? And so the game behind that is, how do we do that again? That is actually the right question. And so that's honestly the reason why we're doing this podcast, and we continue to network with people inside the Sub2 group is, sometimes it's just being able to see the vision of that property, to be able to do that. And like, how many times have we done a property like that? Like, at all the deals we have, how much money is still left in the properties that we currently still own?
How much of our cash?
Yeah.
Oh, not very much.
Yeah. On some deals don't have any cash left, right?
Yeah.
And so like we've done this a time or two to start to see exactly what can be done. And like when you do it a number of times, you look for those opportunities in the deals. And so that's like, so if you're just getting started, for example, and you're like, man, like that sounds really cool, I want to do that. What is some advice you would give to somebody who's like, I want to do what you guys are doing?
Network.
Yeah. Maybe with somebody who's already doing it, right? Like, invest with us. Like that's the name of this podcast, like invest with us, right? And so start as being a lender, start as being somebody who maybe you have a deal, like go find a deal and let's do it together. Maybe if you don't have cash, maybe you have credit, like find some sort of way to add value to someone's already doing deals like this.
What is Pace's, how does he get everything he wants in life?
Okay. You guys ready for this?
Yeah.
You guys ready? Okay. This is a writer downer. Okay. And I'm sure you've heard this before, but the most important thing is just saying the same things over and over again until it finally makes sense, right? So 3-step process to get anything you want in life. The first thing.
Know what you want.
Know what you want, right? The very first thing. Get clarity on what you want. Not on what you don't want, but on what you do want. Okay. Second step.
Find somebody who has what you want.
Yeah. Find the person who can get you what you want, right? Who's that person? Who knows what you know?
Well, you don't know, maybe.
Yeah, maybe what you don't know.
Who knows what you want?
Who knows, right? So first step, know what you want. Second piece, who can help you get it? Third piece.
Provide value to them.
Provide value to that person. That's a simple 3-step process, again, from Pace. That's how you get what you want, okay? Know what you want. Figure out who can help you and then provide that to that person. And like, that's the key piece. How do I provide value? And let me go on a small little rant here, okay? How I know, because people reach out to me all the time, and I know they reach out to you as well, and they ask that question, well, how can I provide value to you? So you want me, again, like I'm going to go on a mini rant. You want me to tell you, you want me to take the time, the energy, the focus off what I'm doing to help you help me, right? And so like, hopefully that makes sense, because I know that I used to do that. Right. And the only reason I'm saying is I used to do that. I'm sure you watching this, I'm sure you've done that. And I'm just trying to, I'm trying to help you, like, actually think. Because a lot of times, if you just actually take the time to like, how can I provide value? What does this person need? And like, just pay attention and listen to what they say. Like, go on their Facebook and like look their stuff up. Go on Instagram. If they have a YouTube, like go ask some freaking questions to some people. And it's gonna be pretty easy to figure out how to provide value to most people. Right? Like most people, even like the high level people who we personally know, like it's actually pretty easy to provide value to them if you're paying attention, if you actually take a little bit of time and effort to ask the right question.
Yeah, one of the questions that I get asked frequently is like there's like a limiting belief in somebody that they cannot provide value to us because of where we are at. And that's
which is total baloney, by the way.
Yeah. Total baloney.
It's just like, what do you like? What sort of value? Sometimes it's not even directly has to do with real estate in this situation, right? Can I tell a story about how we got our first real estate mentor? The guy who we're actually doing our last deal that we did with, we're actually an equity partner with.
Yeah.
Can I share that story? Okay. So here's a really good example is we have a fitness business, right? And we had a fitness business for over 10 years. When I first got started in the fitness business, I was just like anybody else, just trying to figure out how to get leads, how to get clients. And so I went to what's called a biz to biz, which is a local networking group. A lot of people in their towns, they call like B&I groups. And so it's a group where there's like one personal trainer, there's one insurance agent, there's one real estate agent, there's one marketing agency in there, right? There's just one of everything. And the goal for the whole thing is for you to bring leads to everybody else and pass them around. Okay. That's the goal of a B&I or a biz-to-biz group. And so I was in that group for 2 years. You want to know how many leads I got in that group?
I think like 5.
Yeah.
Oh, 2.
Yeah, probably 2.
Oh, even
right.
worse.
Probably 2 to 5. Who knows, right? Not very many. However, the one thing I got from that group was at the end of every single session, everybody went around and they gave their little commercial, their 30-second commercial. Hey, my name is Logan Manzanares, and this week we're doing a free 6-week challenge for our gym. And so if you know anybody who wants to lose weight, lose 20 pounds, send them on down to me, and I'll hook them up, right? That was our pitch that we gave after every single thing. Well, one of the guys in there, he mentioned something about his rentals. And he was not in the real estate game. He was in the blind, like he was the blind guy. I was like, rentals, interesting, right? And at that point, I was already like knew that I wanted to invest in real estate. I just didn't know anything about real estate.
This was 10 years ago, by the way.
Yeah, this was
8 years ago. Maybe.
It was like 2015. Yeah, so about 8 years ago. And I was like, interesting. And so they were inside that group. You're very encouraged to go network with other people and like connect with them and have coffee and lunch and all these other things. And so I was like, okay, boom. That was my cue. I was like, hey, look, do you mind if I take you to lunch? Right. I started chatting with him, and I come to find out after our meeting, he had like $30,000+ in cash flow from real estate. And I was like, what the hell? This guy, like, why is he in this group? And I started to realize the only reason he was in the group is because he had buddies inside the group, and it was a nice place for him to go hang out and like spend a Thursday morning, right? Just to hang out with other people. I was like, okay, I need to develop a relationship with this person, and
I need to provide value.
I need to provide value, right? And that's something I did intuitively without understanding this framework that we just talked about with you guys. That pay skips. I didn't know this. I think I understood it intuitively, and I was like, how do I provide value to this person? Like, I didn't have any money. I didn't know anything about real estate, but I knew that like I wanted this guy to be in my life. And so I looked around what I had, and I was like, oh, I'm a personal trainer, right? And I was like, everybody wants to lose weight, and so I offered him that I would train him for free if he were just basically teach about real estate, right? And so he was like, of course, right? Agreed. And so I made one mistake in that whole process. You know what that mistake was?
Yeah.
I didn't put a defined end date on how long I would train him for. And so after about 2 weeks, I sat there and after one of our sessions, and I just thought to myself, I was like, I don't know any more questions to ask him about real estate. And so I spent the next 9 months training this guy absolutely for free. And it was one of the best things I ever did, because what I actually failed to recognize in that situation was that the information about real estate was like a very small, minute piece of the equation. What was the biggest piece?
The relationship.
It was the freaking relationship, man. That 9 months, I learned about him and his kids and his business and his family. I learned so much about him. And even after that 9 months, I started training his staff members, and then we just kept the relationship over the next couple of years. And then we finally got the opportunity when we actually did have money and we did have resources. We actually did have a deal. I reached out to him, and he was like that confirmation and that little bit of belief that said, "Yeah, this is a good deal." Right? Let's play. And so our first 3 or 4 deals, I asked them on every single property, just come tell me your thoughts, right? Like, let me run it by you. And then we finally got an opportunity in late 2020 where I came across a deal that I just couldn't take down myself because I was in a financial situation, and I didn't have the team. I didn't have the experience to take down. It was a full gut job. And so I brought the deal to him. I told him about it, and you know what happened?
He said, let's partner.
He said, let's partner on it, right? And so the person who once was our mentor now became our partner, and that was the start of our relationship. And since then, we've done 4 more deals together, and we continue to do deals together. So that part is cool, right? Like we obviously are doing deals together, but how often do we actually hang out with him?
Quite a bit, actually.
Yeah, like almost like every week. Like our goal is to hang out with him every single week and like go to dinner with him. And we bought him a massage the other day, right? And we're just like trying to find ways to be around him and get in his airspace. And we're still providing value, right? And I think a lot of times those relationships can become very transactional. And it's just intuitive that if you're like, okay, I did this, you do this. But our goal is always to have abundance in all relationships. So it's never about like, you do this and it's my turn to do this. It's like, how do we just give so much? Just give. And what ends up happening?
He gives back.
Dude, he's a huge giver, right? Mm-hmm. He's a huge giver. Mm-hmm. And so it's like our goal is just to outgive him. That becomes our goal, is like, how do we just give more, right? How do we just give more and more to him? And so I think that ultimately is the foundation of any sort of relationship, any partnership. And so I know this was talking about a specific deal, but ultimately, like, what is it really about?
It's about relationships, because every deal we've
relationships.
ever have done has been based on a solid relationship.
Yeah. Every deal, right? And so that's how we're doing this as well. Is we actually want to continue to build more relationships, because like we see how much fulfillment, how much joy.
We need friends.
Yeah, we need more friends.
Like real estate.
Like how much we've grown with just like a couple relationships. And our goal is to do a lot more real estate with a lot more people and develop a lot more relationships and get a lot more fulfillment. Because like this is what fulfills us is doing business and doing deals. And like, guess what? Is it always clean sailing?
No.
Is there usually a lot of problems?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what? It's funny because people want to do business with other people, and we're the same way. However, I like to also see someone's character when things don't go the way that it was intended to go, the way the plan was going, because that's a true test of their character. And like that's what I look for in the early stages of any relationship. Is I'm actually praying, I'm hoping for things to go wrong as early as you possibly can, so I can like just see what type of person shows up. Right? Are they blamers? Are they complainers? Are they non-responsibility takers? Like what sort of personality is this person going to bring to the table when all of a sudden things don't go exactly the way the plan was set out to be?
Yeah, it's really easy to be excited and happy and be like, yeah, the cash flow's great. And then if
money.
shit hits the fan, how do you react?
Yeah.
How do you respond?
And that's what I want to see in people.
Yeah.
And that's how you develop true long-term partnerships and relationships, because just like a marriage, like there's always going to be conflicts. There's always going to be challenges. And are you the type of person who just shuts down and like says like, no, this is my way, right? I'd rather be right, or I'd rather be on the right team. And so ultimately, I'm looking for somebody who just wants to be on the right team. And that's part of this whole relationship game too, is saying that, you know, it doesn't matter what happens. Like I'm here to have your back no matter what.
Yeah, I liked that. Right to right team.
Yeah.
Put your ego aside. You don't need to be right. You can just be on the right team.
That's all that really matters.
That's great.
So yeah, hopefully you guys got some value from that. And yeah, so that's the breakdown of our next deal that we're doing as we speak. So it's under contract, right? That we have the appraisal ordered, I believe, on that, and so it's set to close here next couple of weeks once the appraisal comes in, and we'll start doing the due, start making some monies. And are you actually gonna be managing this property?
No,
because he's got the property management company already. So literally, like we're just funding the deal, right? That's all we're doing in the situation. So it's pretty cool. So yeah, so if you want to come in and you want to invest with us and learn the process, by all means, reach out. I think let's say I have a little banner. I need to do a little banner here today. So if you guys want to reach out, you can find me on Facebook. I think if you guys are on YouTube, find me on YouTube. And yeah, I'm on Instagram. What's the Instagram, Katie? What's your Instagram?
Katie Ann Manzanares.
Katie and Manzanares and Logan Lee Manzanares. So those are our Instagrams. So Katie Ann Manzanares, Logan Lee Manzanares. You can find us on Facebook, YouTube, all the cool places. So hopefully you guys got some value from this. If you did, please like this, comment on wherever you're watching this, whether you're watching this on YouTube or Facebook or Airbnb, share it. And yeah, if you want to invest with us, reach out. Let us on this deal or whether it's a future deal. Let's get the conversation started. Let's get the relationship started. And
if you guys like this, let us know, because we'll do it more often.
Yeah, like this is fun.
Yeah.
So happy, what's today?
St. Patrick's Day.
St. Patrick's Day. And you can wish our 3-year-old a happy birthday.
Whoop, whoop.
Lainey Lee. All right, guys. We'll chat soon.
Katie Manzanares.
Logan Manzanares.
Bye.
Bye.